Now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, traders. Okay, welcome to the Bookmap Platform Details webinar. Sorry for being late here. Had some problems getting into the webinar this morning. Anyway, up and running now. So let me know if you can hear me and see my screen. All right. Okay, excellent. Okay, guys. All right, let's get started then. Risk disclaimer, trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. And all right, well, what we're going to do in the webinar here, a few different things. First, I'm going to give you the a link to the advanced order flow webinar. Okay, and that's usually reserved only for subscribers. Now, hold on just a minute here. And I'm going to put this into the chat box there and go to webinar. There you go. And let me explain a little bit about that. Okay, so in this webinar, what we go through is the basics. This is for those that are new to order flow or new to Bookmap, and they're not subscribing yet, or they could be subscribing. We have many people are in here that are currently subscribing, but they like to attend this webinar to go through the basics in the order flow. And makes a lot of sense because it's important to understand the basics. All right. So when you subscribe, though, Bookmap comes with education. There's this 4-part educational course that you get access to. And then every day following this webinar at 11 a.m., we go through the advanced order flow webinars. In those webinars, we go through the live market, analyze the current order flow activity, and start to anticipate future price movement based on the education and based on what we see in the order flow. Okay, so the concept here is you get education, you can access that 4-part course at any time, and then you can see it in the live market every day and start to understand how to read the order flow and how to anticipate future price movement. Let's see, Jaishwin, if you want the recording to the advanced order flow webinar, yeah, you can email me at bruce@bookmap.com, and I can send that to you. Actually, why don't you? It would be better because if others are going to be emailing as well, then it would be better to just email support@bookmap.com. Okay, and I'll tell the support guys there because yeah, let's do that instead. Because I don't want to get emailed with a bunch that I'll need to reply to. Anyway, the okay, so that's what you get with Bookmap. That comes when you subscribe. It comes with it. You get education, so we don't leave you high and dry there. You can really start to understand order flow if you want. And this is a pretty amazing platform with its visualization and then taking advantage of that, though, is what we go through, starting to read it very, very objectively. Okay. All right. So let's go through some of the basics here, and we're going to start off at the website, and we're going to answer 3 questions here. What is Bookmap? Okay. How to connect it to the markets, and then start to how to get Bookmap. Okay, so those three questions, and then we're going to start looking at the basic interface, define it, and then go through the basic order flow. Okay, so any of you who were in the advanced order flow webinar yesterday, can't wait to talk to you guys because we saw bullish activity and it continued the rest of the day, I think. Anyway, it made it up to our 7,100 figure. And I hope a lot of people stayed in that. But anyway, let's continue on down here. There's an intro video for those of you who are new. It's just a couple minutes long. More information here about Bookmap. A bit further down, Bookmap for US equities. I'll talk about that in a second. And we'll come down to connectivity. Okay, and this is where I need to define what Bookmap is. We're a software trading platform. We have unique ways of visualizing the data. That's our strength. Okay, now we're not a broker. We're not a data provider. We're software. Okay, so we connect to 3 different markets: digital currencies, futures markets, and US equities. Okay, for the digital currencies, no data is required. The data is free. Okay, but for futures and for US equities, you will need to provide the data, and that's how you connect Bookmap here. Now you can see all the data providers that we have listed here. We also have some platforms listed: NinjaTrader, TTX Trader Pro, and Interactive Brokers Traders Workstation. You can connect to them via the API, so that's an option if you want to do that. We recommend, though, connecting directly, just like any other platform, just connecting directly to the data provider like Rhythmic or CQG or Gain Capital or IQ Feed, Transact, or Dev Experts. Okay, now the Dev Experts, let's scroll right back up to the US equities. Not sure if you guys caught the DX Feed US equities webinar we had yesterday. We looked at a lot of live action, saw some good stuff, yeah, so let me know if you have any feedback from that, anyone who attended that one yesterday. I think there was a few of you there in the list here. Okay, now the US equities through DX Feed, that's how you connect. Just go through it briefly here. Very low latency, full depth of market, which is a huge advantage here. You can get NASDAQ total view, or you can get Edge X, or you can get both of them together. Okay, so those are the different feed or consolidated feed that you can get. All right, let's scroll back down here. So now we've answered what is Bookmap, how to connect it, and then the how to get it is the next one. Okay, so these are the different packages here. Okay, you can subscribe yearly for a 20% discount, or you can subscribe monthly here. All right, now the different versions are down below. Digital versions and global versions, and let me explain. The digital version here is free. It only connects to one digital currency at a time. That's it. Okay, you don't get the full education, and you don't get full support. You don't get to be able to record the data. So it's but the data is free, and that market is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you can always look at a live market, and that's why we're offering it for free. Now, the Digital Plus version, you can connect to 20 different currencies at a time. Okay, you can record and replay that data. You can trade right from the Bookmap chart into a live GDAX account if you have one. And you get the advanced education and full support. Okay, so that's the Digital Plus version. Now, the global version, this will encompass all markets. You get everything in Digital Plus, but you also have the capability to connect to futures and US equities. Okay, that's why you'll need the global version, is to be able to connect to those 2 different market types, but you will need to provide the data for them. Okay, and then the Global Plus version, what you get here is it's all inclusive of Global and Digital Plus, but in addition, you get the add-ons. Okay, one is the ability to trade right from the Bookmap chart into a live futures account, funded account, as well as a US equities account, only through Interactive Brokers for the US equities at the moment, but you can trade also using that DX feed. All right, now you also get our proprietary indicators we put together, our large lot tracker, looking for specific players in the market, okay, identifying the larger players, holding the majority of liquidity, and how they might be skewing the auction in their favor. So get insight to that. The imbalance indicators here for the book and for volume. Iceberg detector, this again is looking for larger players. larger players who are hiding liquidity. They don't want to be seen in the market. Okay, and they have all sorts of tricks and way of front running to kind of disguise that. Anyway, let's move on. The correlation tracker. You can look at different markets, and we did that with the U.S. equities yesterday, which is fantastic. So we're looking at some of the FANG stocks in the NASDAQ, and then we have the NASDAQ E-mini up as well. Okay, looking at the broader market, but then looking at some of the movers, some of the big movers in the NASDAQ and who might be moving the market in a specific direction. Okay, correlation tracker is fantastic for that. All right, well, those are the different versions. Let's jump over to just a few more things to look at here. Our Twitter page at bookmap_pro. And then here's information about the new iceberg detector, if you want to check that out. And then further down here, just a new post from Sergey here. He's our CTO. And he put together a page about market mechanics. You might want to check this out. If you are interested in really kind of you want the education and understanding of really how these markets trade. Okay, so anyway, lots of information here, all sorts of stuff, yeah, take a look. Then our YouTube page, you can subscribe here as well. Intro playlist here, okay, features and components playlist on the front page as well, and then order flow video snippets. You might want to check these out. Okay, these I recommend you do. This is the kind of information we go through in detail in the advanced order flow webinars. Now, you guys have access to that. For those of you who came in late, here you go. I'm going to place it back in the chat in Bookmap, so you can click on that link there, and then go to the advanced order flow webinar that'll start in about 15 minutes. All right. Okay, well, let's jump into Bookmap and see what's going on. We're going to look at the NASDAQ E-mini. Okay, and well, we can see non-farm payroll right here. Okay, quick move to the upside. Okay, 830. Okay, something I want to show here. Actually, it's not the greatest example. Kind of interesting to see that. Yeah, they stayed in the book. Interesting. Okay. Well, they got it wrong. Anyway, it's really interesting to see this in the liquidity, and it's not really, they didn't really do it here, which is very odd. Seeing this higher liquidity stay in the book here, almost all the way. Well, yeah, I mean through 8:30 here is when the news came out, and you see the move here. So these guys positioned themselves short and probably covering to the upside. And these guys stayed in the book up here as well, and then up here as well. Okay, and they look like they all got filled. Okay, and it continued higher. Breakout, nice breakout here. I'd be looking at this area here, at this 71.29 or 30 area. This is going to be a pretty critical area if we're going to hold above or below that area. Okay, it goes down below it for a bit. Let's see if it does it accept down here. Yeah, not really, right? So yeah, I would anticipate that this is going to be the critical area right here, right? And it goes down below it for a bit, but that's really it. Okay. Now, why did I know that? Okay. Well, maybe we'll go through that a little bit in the advanced order flow webinar. Really, what's going on here is, these traders are absorbing here, or they're staying in the book, I should say, and they're trading through. There's more buying pressure than they're able to absorb. And then it continued and broke out to the upside on size, on volume. Okay, and looking for them to support it then here. And they did actually right in through this area here. Okay. Anyway, I'm getting way too far ahead. This is what we go through in the advanced order flow webinar, and then we start to drill into it. Let's zoom out, take a step back here, and then if I might be speaking a foreign language to you guys, well, then let's go through and define what you're looking at on this chart, make it very, very simple and clear, and then move forward. Okay, so I'm going to close up our cumulative volume delta here. Okay, I'm going to turn off some of our add-on indicators like our VWAP and our iceberg detector. Actually, I'm going to turn off everything. And we're just going to look at a candlestick chart. And I need to turn off our point of control. Okay, there we go. All right, now this is a view we're all accustomed to seeing. Okay, this is a 5-minute candlestick chart. And now we've been looking at this for years. And what is it showing us? It's showing us within a 5-minute period, open, high, low, and close. Only 4 data points. That's it. Okay. Now it doesn't do such a bad job of kind of giving you sense of order flow, but there's just so much missing here. We're making financial trading decisions here. Why would we not want more clarity and more transparency? What happened within this 5-minute period? Where did the volume trade? How much? What type? Where were the fast moves and little areas of consolidation in the microstructure? Okay? All of that information is completely lost. It's not here. And usually we try to make up the difference by adding on RSI, stochastics, MACD, whatever it might be, to just try to get some more information. Okay? Or maybe you're looking at a footprint chart. Okay? Footprint chart's a lot better. Now you're starting to look at very specific volume. There's still a problem with the footprint chart though. It's in an aggregated period of data. You're still not going to see the microstructure and you're still not going to see the speeds of moves. Okay, and then the bigger picture here, that's the most important part that we visualize in Bookmap, is the heat map. Okay, and the heat map is showing you the evolution of the order book. Okay, so you can't see where they're bidding and offering in here. And that's actually the most important part. So let's just start very simply here, and we're going to show 3 different elements on this chart. One is the historical best bid and offer. Okay? And what this allows us to do is very simply start to see microstructure. Okay? Because it does not aggregate any data whatsoever. It's just price. Okay, so if you want price action, here it is. This is price. Now, what we can see here already is all sorts of information, okay, between this 5-minute period. Okay, this is pretty bullish, but it started to consolidate here a little bit, but it still was breaking out and trending to the upside, and then it broke out further and had more speed here on the upside. Okay, the speedy move down here, then it kind of slowed down a bit, but it was still very bullish. And then it sped up even more here. Okay? Well, what we're going to see is the volume here on this in these microstructural areas. And let's just cover and define what I mean by microstructure. Okay? It's these little areas in here, consolidation period here, here, and there's one here and here, but like there's a bigger one, okay, here. Okay? Now you can already start to see a pattern. Okay. Note how we consolidate, break out, consolidate, break out, consolidate, and break out again. Okay. This is where we want to start to understand the order flow. Okay. Who's in control in these structural areas? And now we're starting to get very specific. So let's clear the drawings. Okay. And let's turn on the volume. Okay. Now we're going to look at the volume that very specifically traded on that historical best bid and offer. These are the transactions. And this is very indicative here of a trending market. Look at the big volume dots at the higher highs. Okay. And look at what type of volume it is. This is aggressive buying. They're hitting the market buy button. This is typical. Okay. This is a strong auction, right? Especially in this area. This is pretty strong here. We see big volume trading up above, new area, breaking out of a new area. It's going to accept above this area here, okay, because of this trading up here. We get a pullback here. Where does that pullback come to? It comes right to this little area here where we kind of broke out from, and this is where the volume really picked up. And we find more buyers come, they rotate back in and they take it even higher. Okay? Now we're really starting to understand some of the details in the order flow. And we haven't even turned on the heat map yet. We're just looking at volume and historical best bid and offer. Just two elements on this chart. Okay, and you can see what's really lacking here in this candlestick chart. You have no clue about what's happening in this period. Even your footprint chart, you're not going to see any of this action, and you're not going to understand this kind of bullish move like this. You'll just see it, the numbers here on a five-minute bar or a volume bar or a candle that rotates, but it's still going to be a rotation bar within time. Okay, and aggregated data. This is not aggregated, and let me explain. If I zoom in here, okay, we're looking at these two elements again, okay, but we're looking at every single market event is recorded. Best ask is the red line here. The best bid is this green line. That's it. It's about as simple as the market can get. Now you're seeing the transactions here take place. Okay, so the green dots here, well, these are market buys. Okay, they crossed the spread, and they traded here on the best offer. They took liquidity off of the best offer. They didn't provide it. They took it. That's it. That's the aggressor, and that's what makes the market move as they sweep the book. Another price level and there's just more buying pressure compared to sellers that might absorb, or sellers, the aggressors on the other side. So those are market buys. Red dot, market sells. That's it. But you can see here when I zoom in that we can get the precise data and time, no question about it. I mean, very, very precise. We're already down at millisecond level here. Well, we're going to zoom down into microsecond level. And we're going to note how actually that consolidated dot is actually 3 different transactions. Okay, this one is volume of 1 with very precise time here. Okay, this is a volume of 1 as well, and so is this. Okay, so 3 different events took place here for a volume of 1, and we're looking at millions of seconds now. We can continue to zoom in and look at billions of seconds, every single event. Okay, so anyway. Now, we don't trade at those time frames, but as I zoom back out, we consolidate it into a bigger dot, and we give you the overall volume. Okay, now we have the information that is more meaningful to us, and that will continue as we continue to zoom out. Okay, and we'll get to a certain point where you start to see some of these pie displays of volume. Okay, this is for a volume of 31. Okay, but within that area here, there's both buying and selling, and about 2/3 of that is buying, but there was some selling in there as well. Okay, and that's what that pie display is showing us. Okay, so we've covered those 2 elements. Let's get to the 3rd element, and we didn't get to too much basic analysis here in the order flow, except for this trend here. And some of these microstructures and the breakouts. So we did go over some of that. It's usually these book sweeps to the upside, and then does it accept or reject is really the big question. You usually see exhaustion on the downside here. Not many sellers. Rotate up, find more buyers, and continue. Now we've just looked at only 2 elements, and now let's turn on the heat map though, and we're going to really see some information here. Okay. Into these areas of high liquidity. Okay, this is very typical. Okay, they're here on the offer, and they're trading. It's trading into them. Okay, we can take our candlestick off, and let's just define how this heat map is developed. Okay, we'll go to current market, and here we go. Okay, so how the heat map is displayed here. Well, let's just cover this in just about a minute or 2, and then we'll get to the advanced order flow webinar. Everything to the left of this vertical white line is the historical market. Okay, this is what happened. Okay, everything to the right is what's happening currently. Okay, this is the current market. This is the best bid and offer here. There's the last traded volume is this number, and here's your price ladder. This is price. Now the COB column here, it stands for current order book. This is your depth of market. This is your dome. These are traders here on the offer. They're providing liquidity. They want to be sellers at these specific levels. They're waiting with their limit orders. And they're making the market, okay, on the sell side. On the bid, they're down here below current price. But we can start to see, look at these areas of high liquidity here. At 71.80, there's 52 contracts. Down here at 71.70, there's 47 contracts. Okay. What we do in this window here is we transpose these, or we take these numeric values, and they become a graphical representation. Okay, and what we're showing here in our heat map is very high liquidity, and this is where it is. Okay, so when these numbers change, the heat map changes. As you can see, the change just took place here. Now it changed back. So now you can see actually what we're doing. We're recording all of this and transposing it onto this chart historically. So that little blip here of blue, well, there was more liquidity, and then they pulled it. So that's what these striations are here in the heat map. It's the adding and pulling of liquidity. What this allows us to do is start to use our dome on much higher time frames. It's not just for this current market action. And that's usually how people use a dome. Now we're able to zoom out and we're able to see where they're bidding, where they're offering, how they got filled in some of these areas. This is absorption up here. They're absorbing all the buying pressure. No one takes it further, and we rotate back down, okay, until we find buyers again. And it looks like they absorbed on the way down here as well in some of these areas, and then down here as well. And buyers rotated back in, and we're seeing a flip here of high liquidity. They were here on the offer in some of these areas. Now they're on the bid at these higher levels. Okay, and the trend continues. And now we're up to 71.80. Anyway, for those of you who came in late, I'll put this link in here one more time. That's to the Advanced Order Flow webinar. It's in the chat. And give you a minute here to click on that. And then we're going to stop the webinar and jump to the next one. Okay? All right, guys. Yeah, thanks for coming. If we don't see you, have a good weekend.